Turning now to the Middle East tonight, dozens of innocent people were killed in Rafah after an Israeli airstrike went wrong. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu acknowledged that there was a technical failure and called it a tragic accident. He says it will be investigated. Israel's Air Force also struck a Hamas compound in Rafah, killing 2 senior Hamas officials. Meanwhile, protesters marched in several cities across Israel today. They're calling for the release of hostages who were kidnapped on October 7th and taking aim at Netanyahu for his handling of the war against Hamas. Israel says roughly 100 hostages are still captive in Gaza, along with the bodies of at least 39 others. So far, 17 dead hostages have been recovered. Families of current and former hostages held a rally as well today. They're calling for negotiations to bring back their loved ones to resume. Jonathan Schanzer, Senior Vice President of Research at the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies, joins us now. So, Jonathan, the IDF says that the airstrikes were carried out based on precise intelligence. Again, 2 Hamas officials were killed, but so were dozens of innocent people. So how will this attack impact the war, do you think?
Well, right now, this comes amidst an inquiry by the International Criminal Court. So the Israelis may be taken to the Security Council at the United Nations, and that will be something that, of course, it will be something that the Israelis will not welcome. Now, whether the Israelis are held accountable for this is another story. It was, of course, a mistake, and they were targeting militants in the middle of this Rafah camp. But that will be the challenge here right now for the Israelis to prove that.
What about how do you think these attacks will impact negotiations that are ongoing there in that region?
Well, I don't have a lot of faith in these negotiations. The Qataris, they're the ones that are going to be running this right now, along with the Egyptians. And we know that they have been working hand in glove with Hamas. So that's going to be a challenge moving forward here for a little while. I think the Israelis are really, it's the definition of insanity. They keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results.
Now, you mentioned this a second ago, but help us understand how this could play out amid the International Criminal Court charges against Netanyahu, because his people, or his team rather, says that, they're not looking at that. They're not worried about that.
Well, look, the ICC, it's not a credible process here. And I think we can see that they've gone after Hamas as well as going after the Israeli leaders, putting them both on the same charge sheet is just something that I think, no one would have ever expected. And I think it does undermine the credibility of the court. But the Israelis are still going to have to deal with this, that there are going to be some countries out there that would like to try to bring in Benjamin Netanyahu and haul him before the court. It's become highly politicized. I do believe that the Israelis are being treated unfairly, especially when you look at the fact that the Chinese government hasn't been held to account for its genocide of the Uyghurs or other countries that have engaged in gross human rights violations. We just don't see things like this against democratic countries. This is a new territory for us right now.
All right, Jonathan, thank you for your insight tonight. Meanwhile, we should point out an official with Hamas says that the attacks signal that Israel's defiance of the World Court's ruling.